it's another evening of Graveyard Theater, and I'm Laszlo, and this is Demonica. Hey, Demonica.
Hey, what's up?
No, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you something. Here I went out to terrorize the villagers, have a good old time.
Terrorize the villagers again? I told you about that.
Come on, yeah, right. Do I ever listen to you?
You're going to get us in a lot of trouble, you know that?
Quiet. Let me finish.
Finish, go ahead.
Okay, I'm out there trying to start a riot, and I get there, there's already a riot going on.
Okay.
Because this guy already started a riot.
Whoa, where'd he come
Well,
from?
I figured he's a pretty good-looking fellow, so I invite him over, huh?
Man, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy.
How's it good?
Big guy. Hey, Rick.
Oh my! You know who this is?
No.
Wait, you know who this is?
Looks like Frankie.
Yeah.
This is Frankie from ABC TV Shock Theater.
It is Frankenstein.
I cannot believe it. You're sitting in our castle. Oh my! If anybody got blood and bones, I need an autograph, Frankie.
Wait a minute. Frankie, take off your head.
Take off your head.
Oh, come on, he looks good.
There we go.
I didn't
One more time. There we go.
Frankie, what are you doing?
He has a good-looking
And
fella.
of course, what do we have here? We got Bruce Newton playing Frankie on Shock Theater.
Yeah, buddy.
Graveyard Theater.
Hey, nice
Hey,
to meet
Bruce.
you.
Big
Good
guy.
to meet you.
Well, he's in costume.
And you too.
Oh, thank you, Frankie.
Hey, Bruce, you got a lot of things to ask you about Shock Theater tonight. Thank you for stopping by in your Shock Theater.
Sure, I just thought I would fly in.
Well,
Literally.
we should start talking about Shock Theater and get on to it. We've got a lot of questions for you. First of all, we'd like to know the timeline of Shock Theater when you started.
Well, it was in, I joined staff at WGN Television, Channel 9, still Channel 9 then, and started shows over there. And then we took a show over to WBKB, actually soon to become the American Broadcasting Company, Channel 7, ABC. And there, I was there for 16 years as a creative director and wearing half a dozen hats. And one of the hats was this. You were signed different shows. So we did shows with Mary Hartline, Super Circus, Two-Ton Baker, and well, you name it, all the stars back in then. That's right. And Shock Theater started about 1959.
Now, how many people actually worked on that show?
Three of us.
Some idea?
Three of us.
How did that all come about?
Actually, well, there was Mad Marvin, Terry Bennett. He was a great ventriloquist. And then his wife, Dear, she wore a doily, actually a placemat.
Oh, yeah, she wore the
Right.
thing in front of her.
And I is Frankenstein. And occasionally we'd have somebody like an Art Hearn or a writer or something like that put on a mask and be an extra monster.
Hey, sounds like
Well,
fun.
who you know, scripts? Yeah, exactly.
We all did.
It was just
Really?
kind of like go there and do it.
We did, yeah. Terry was a writer. We had a guy by the name of Carl Carlton wrote. Terry Bennett wrote a lot of material, but I coordinated it and put it together.
Cool. Now, there was a band on your show called The Deadbeats. Can you give us a
Right.
little information about those guys?
Well, we had usually about half a dozen. Petrillo was the music czar for the Musicians Union, coast to coast. And he'd say, you do 12 people for the Breakfast Club or such. He'd assign different people. And for the Shock Theater, we had 6 musicians. And they called them Deadbeats. They wore white face and tuxedos and beautiful musicians.
Really? Now, they were studio musicians, right?
They were studio musicians, full-time to our show.
Now, I know Terry got a lot of mail. It was a pretty popular show. Can you tell
He did.
folks out there what that was all about and how big of a thing Shock Theater was in the 50s?
Oh, sometimes they'd bring in a half a dozen of these big mail bags. And because it was all the teenagers around the area, they'd have shocktail parties. And so they'd send in requests, kill deer again, would you? That was his wife, by the way.
Yeah, she was called Deer on that show.
So he got a lot of mail, oh yeah. A lot of autographs sent out and pictures and photographs. He was very popular.
Now, working on this show, were you ever home and actually watching the show? Did you
Sure.
ever see it when you were behind the scenes?
Yeah, when you're staff, they assign you, you do this, you do that, and so forth. If you didn't, you were bye. So consequently, we were assigned the show, and we would, say for instance, have during the week sometime a little production meeting, come up with the skits and the bits and that sort, and then I would coordinate them and write an outline for them. And so we would all actually contribute towards the show.
Now, you had a lot of crew members that actually were doing the show. What were a lot of the job duties that consisted of doing shock theater at that time? Because it was live, don't forget, folks. This was live TV.
Live for the first half of the show.
Right.
That is, the first few years was live. Every Saturday night I had to come in and from the western suburbs and dress up like Frankenstein outfit.
Well, you sure fit the bill. You're tall enough for it.
Where'd that come from? But then after about, I suppose about 3 or 4 years, these shows, they videotaped them. Actually, then it was called
Kinescopes.
Kinescopes, right, film. And you could sit at home and watch yourself making a fool of yourself Saturday nights.
Now, I know, are you in contact with any of the people that used to work on the show still? All the actors that were on Shock Theater at that period of time?
Sure. Of course, Terry Bennett, he went to New York first and headed up children's programming and then went to the West Coast and kind of lost track of Terry Bennett and his wife, Dear, Joy, her actual name was. And then the director of the show, quite often, they would assign you, like the musicians. You'd get new musicians. And but with the directors, we had people like George Paul. Now he is staff with ABC. He directs the old Barbara Walters specials. Now you see his name at the end, directed by George Paul. And he does 2020 and that sort of thing. Network.
What was your job duties at WBKB during the 50s, during that time?
You name it. No, we actually wore about a half a dozen hats.
Okay.
Sometimes you would write skits and bits and so forth. And another time you'd go out and get props. And I'd walk the loop getting different things like skulls and skeletons and people like this.
Going to JCPenney's and buying that stuff. Now, I believe that I know you did a lot of jobs, but what is the commercials and sponsors and stuff during that time? Like, what kind of stuff, like backing for your program? Who was the backing for the program?
Well, of course, we got a lot of network, network sponsors, car dealerships locally. Jim Moran, the courtesy man, he was a real fan of Shock Theater. And but we would get local sponsors, foods like, let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the local sponsors there. They're still going. I think we probably got them their start on television. They're still going straight, right?
So would we say something like Shock Theater budget-wise was shoestring in that ballpark?
Well, it was a low budget, very, very low budget. That's right. So, but they'd say go out, and a lot of it was promotion. When we needed a car for a promotion or such, we'd call up Jim Moran, the courtesy man, and we'd get a car for that purpose. But also, we'd get props from, like for instance, the scenery you see back here. We'd promote some of that stuff.
You love our castle?
That's beautiful. Just beautiful. Ugly, but beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Just like me.
I got a question. Can I ask you a question?
Question.
All right, you said the first 2 years it was shot live, right?
Yeah. Well,
was there any fun memories, like maybe a little blooper?
Yeah, we want to know behind the scenes, Dirk. Give us some
lot of
somebody's
bloopers.
pants falling down or a pie in the face.
That happened.
I knew you would ask
that. And I don't be afraid. I told you the story about we'd have across the street the Chicago Theater. And anybody that came to the Chicago Theater, be it Martin and Lewis or Milton Berle, and the bigger they were, the nicer they were. Jackie Gleason would come over, and he'd do little bits with us. And one time we had Sammy Davis Jr. He had both eyes then before he had his accident and lost one eye. Now, don't be afraid, because I'm going to rewrite it as I think here.
You have to on this one.
Anyway, I said, Sammy, would you do a bit with us? He said, sure. So he came down the dungeon steps. I told him, come down the dungeon steps, kick the skeleton, it'll fall apart, sit in the electric chair, jump up, and nobody's supposed to be around, So I'll come out of the shadows very quietly, like this, you see, and I'll grab you from behind, and I'll pick you up, and I'll turn you around, and then you say something to me. You know, look up at me as Frankenstein and say something to me. He says, okay. I said, what you gonna say? He says, none of your business, none of your business.
All right.
So everything went fine until I picked him up. I put him right in the lights, right in the lights. And he came down, ooh, 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 and he turned around and he looked up at me. He says, man, you're gonna turn me bleep.
Yeah.
We heard from the NCAA. No, we won't finish it.
Hey, I have a great question for you. Now, you guys may not know this, but they've actually had Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff in their studios at one time.
Right, yeah, the originals.
Why don't you tell them guys what they were like in person?
You know, as I said, the bigger the star was, the nicer they were. I mean, your Jackie Gleasons, as I mentioned, Milton Berles, Jimmy Durantes, and so forth. It was just these little starlets. That were, social climbing at the time. And there were a lot of social. North Shore would come down and do anything free, you know, just to get on television. But no, they were all real nice people.
Now, Bela Lugosi, you said, was a little strange, though, when he was on set, right? He was kind of quiet to himself.
Yeah, and he'd do little bits with us. They had to be careful because the unions are just coming in then. And I'm an original TVA man, Television Authority. And then went into AFTRA, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. But and you had to be very, very careful what you did and didn't do. So consequently, we would be very careful when you have these stars come in.
They didn't want to step on any toes.
Well, they
it was
didn't
live
want to be.
TV. You couldn't exactly rewind it.
That's
say,
right.
Oops.
Well, they'd be fined by the union.
Right. Hey, as far as the Shock Theater set and all the things that were used, has any of it survived to this day?
Well, of course, my outfit here, that's a set. But we've got little pieces and bits. Like, for instance, we used to go out and do these shocktail parties, or a promotion. We go to a shopping center. Then they were called, something else. But I'd go out and autograph. And Frankenstein would give his autograph. I had a bone that I carved out of wood, and I put a red, like a magic marker we have today, you see. So when any kid came up and he wanted, can I have your autograph, Frankie? I says, oh, sure. I had a pad of paper and I put a big red X on it and give it to him.
Now, I know you guys did a lot of things behind the scenes. Give us sort of an example of, like what Renfield was talking about, something goofy that happened before taping that was just hilarious that you might come to mind, you know, just out of thought.
A fond
Yeah.
memory.
Fond memory, on your point.
Well, before videotaping and using videos, we had this kinescope,
Right.
which was a film, and a lot of things, even live out over the air. Oh, it's happened several times through the years where a door is supposed to close, like the door to your dungeon down here, you see. No, but the guy's supposed to die.
He was good to you?
Oh, was she?
All
Oh,
right.
no.
I'm sorry.
But you're supposed to be dead. I mean, the corpse was supposed to be dead, and the door slowly opened up, and the live audience from Michigan to Wisconsin to Iowa saw the corpse get up and crawl off.
Hey, speaking of live audiences and such, where did Shock Theater broadcast? Was it just the Chicago area, or what area?
Oh, no, all Midwest. All Midwest, yeah. That was, as I say, Wisconsin.
I mean, your particular show? Or
Oh, yes. Shock Theater was actually broadcast, telecast out of the State Lake building. And that's at the north, west corner. Southwest corner. Right across the street from the Chicago Theater. And it would go out to Michigan and Indiana and all around the area. So if we made a mistake, it was like several hundred
Everyone
miles
knew
away.
about it.
Now, you had other actors who played on the show. One was like a gorilla, and another one was like sort of a mummy. Who played those two?
Well, as I said, they would bring in a writer or somebody that just happened to, and the unions would overlook this. They weren't that strict then. We had Ron, let's see, what's his name? Ron. It'll come to me. I'll call you at midnight. And then we'd have, sometimes the girls would dress up. They'd put a mask on and be an extra couple of monsters. That would
So
come
just
in.
people would fill in to do
Yep,
these jobs.
yep. But there was only 3 of us there every
Film.
week.
Okay.
Right. So there was
So it's whoever was handy.
Terry Bennett. That's right. Oh, anybody. Sometimes when we not needed a mob scene, we'd get a bunch of. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. We'd have a mob scene, and we'd get a bunch of masks, and we just slip them on, and put a scarf around their neck. and we get them off the street.
You'd make do. So tell me a little bit about Terry and Joy. A lot of people don't know who they were, but they had the actual full characters on that show. Terry played a beatnik type of guy, and
Right.
Joy had a little doily cover on her
You're
face.
right.
Now, tell us about them, and then tell us about their very last show. I think they want to hear about that part.
Okay, well, actually, when you're in this business, there's no such thing as ethnics, people, color,
Right.
nothing. Everything was open. Everything was open, and we never had any problems in that area, color or such. But the people themselves, all of them were great. I mean, in fact, we'd get rid of them by ignoring them if they ever gave each other some kind of, shall we say, trouble, problems, or anything like that. No, we had a lot of fun. We played a lot of tricks on each other. Even during the show, we'd ad lib. Most of it was ad lib. We had an outline of I gave you a script there, or not a script, an outline script.
An outline of what the actual
And
show
that's
was
right.
like.
We knew about what we had to do.
Guideline.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, explain to them in detail the last show that you remember. Now, you told me this story, and I thought it was pretty fascinating.
Okay, it was fun.
Story time.
By that time, I had this mask.
Right.
You know, this mask here.
Right.
And so everybody was going to reveal themselves. Terry Bennett, he was going to roll down his T-shirt, his turtleneck shirt. He was going to take off his thick glasses, you see. In fact, he wore regular thick glasses, and he could hardly see around the set. So he had everything had to be memorized. That's right. And then, so he took those off, and he reverted to he had kind of a funny voice, you know.
He sort of was a major high beatnik.
Right, exactly.
kinda
And
weird.
so he reverted to he has a really neat voice. I mean, he came out, in fact, he had a show, which I'll mention in just a moment, Jabberwocky Place during the day.
He was a major
children.
puppeteer.
That's right, that's
Yeah.
right. He was a great ventriloquist, we used to call him. But he reverted to his regular voice. Dear, she took off her mask, which was a doily, you know, a place setting, and reverted to her voice. She didn't say much on the show either, you know, just scream and and ouch and all that.
Get hit with the axe, get buried, knocked down.
We'd
stuff
kill
like
a dozen people every Saturday night. Nicely, though, of course, nicely. But then it came time for me to reveal who I was. So I had this mask, and it was just one previous to that. I've had several masks, by the way, but it was thinner. And I took my collar down, and I started to roll up the rubber mask here, and I had another one underneath.
They never actually get to see your face.
And you know, real quick, we would go out to, grade schools and high schools, colleges,
Right.
and put on shocktail parties. And so the first time I did it for a grade school, I started to roll up my mask, and I could see through the slits in the sling. The kids, you know, they were kind of afraid at first. And then all of a sudden they saw that I was going to reveal who I was, and they're going to see the man underneath. And their eyes started smiling and so forth. But when they saw the mask underneath, I mean, it was just havoc. They started running for the windows and the doors, crawling up the walls and so forth. We never did that again.
Oh, is that?
What sort of mask did you wear under?
It was another one.
What, the
Yeah,
exact same
yeah. Another mask underneath.
Man, that must have
Of
been hot.
Jack- Yeah, right. So what I was doing was rolling up my skin.
So why don't you tell us how those ideas came about for those shocktail parties? It
Yeah,
sounded like a
give some
pretty
detail
good
on
thing.
Yeah.
Telephone call.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Basically,
in
tell
the
us about the
mail.
promotion is what he's talking
People.
about.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, kind of seed it a little bit.
Yeah.
Have some friends call in anonymously and say, "Hey, can we have a shocktail party?" And you can make some extra money too.
Wow, graveyard. We should do that.
That's a good idea. It's a very good idea.
Graveyard
Now,
tail
how
parties.
many? Why don't you explain to some of the appearances you did in detail? A lot of the ones you guys did during that time.
Well, I was staff at, I've been in the business 50 years, still am.
Yeah,
We
50
still
years,
take Garfield Goose out, and we do colleges and festivals. We do about 150 festivals a year, about 50 parades a year, sometimes as Grand Parade Marshal. But we will do some weekends, some 5 or 6 shows, wherever it might be, Park District, Country Club,
You're
and
still
so
doing
forth.
that to this
And we
day.
still are, that's right. But on the air, we would sometimes, as I mentioned, we would do sometimes 5 and 6 a day shows, live shows. Go from one to the other and so forth. Now they assign you one show for 2 weeks, and you work on it. You know.
I know your home, which many people don't know this because we happen to visit his home. You want to tell them about your museum and all that kind of stuff at your home that you have?
Yeah, I hear it's great.
Yeah, you should get Clair in on this.
Okay,
to,
maybe we'll do her on the next day.
Okay, all right, because that's her thing. We have a 110-year-old home out in the Fox Valley. It's in Aurora. It's her hometown.
Oh,
And it's a Queen Anne home. Oh, you should come. You'd love it.
yes, you guys have got to go to this.
You asked me if it was haunted, and I said no.
Well, we're in
But-
there. We're walking through this place.
But we have a
61 place, right?
yeah. We have secret staircase, secret rooms. We have, for instance, a hideaway. We've got a lower level, which we call the lower level. We've got all these nooks and crannies off the rec room. Barber, little barber setup, dentist, lawyer. My dad was a lawyer, and so I got some of his things.
Got your home theater in there too?
Yeah, we do. You push a button and a screen comes down, and we show movies and that sort of thing. Yeah.
You got a spare room?
Sure. Now we had 5 children, and they're all gone. Thank goodness. No. We love our children, but we have our own lifestyle now. You see.
Kicking back.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce, you say you've been in the business for 50 years.
Yep.
Now, can
Television
you give us
business.
sort of a rundown of the shows you've actually worked on? Can you give us just a ballpark idea?
What, from like beginning to end?
To like the 50s. The shows mainly in the 50s.
How long does Frankenstein wear a watch? How long time you got here?
Just give me some of the highlights of some of the ones you did.
Well, I joined staff right out of college. Can you imagine? WGN Television, and we had a show where there's no children on it. There were 3 of us on the show. There was a 19-year-old model. She was beautiful. She was a beauty queen, and then there was an MC. There was myself. I was supposed to be the counterpart to this, you see, and I was 21. She was 19, and then we had an old geezer who was the MC. I mean, hey, he was 30 years old. Yuck. And we had Andy Williams was our first guest, and he just turned 18. And so it was a case where we would interview, we do food bits, you know. We had a lot of food left over, you know. You come in there.
Where
and
was that?
plenty
Tables of
of
food on the
that.
side during taping.
And we had just about everything. But you know, there was a guy by the name of Dave Garraway. It's out of Chicago, and he'd take notes of all these shows, Chicago shows. And he went to New York, and he buddied up with the president of NBC. Here, I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, and president of NBC. And 3 months later, they came up with the Today Show with Dave Garraway, the Tonight Show with Steve Allen, and the Home Show with Arlene Francis in the afternoon. Didn't make it, but all these shows got their bases in Chicago.
So you've been in many, many shows. You've worked on a lot of puppets for many shows.
Yeah.
And with Terry's
Puppets?
show,
I love
Jabberwocky, we were just talking
Yep,
about, you
yep.
created puppets and stuff for that show, right?
Yeah, I remember the largest one was and he had no budget, and I was.
Gee, we wouldn't know what that's
I
about, would we,
couldn't.
guys?
No, I was paid overall, and I floated between each department. I don't happen to have any blood that I could drink to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in the back.
And we would.
Go kill a villager. He needs
We would do
Well,
little bits
we'll go
on
out
the
later.
side to them. And with Terry, I remember making a mechanical man. I went down to the drugstore and got a bunch of boxes and painted them up. And so I came out like this, you know, like the mechanical man in Wizard of Oz.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to bring your wife on here in just about a minute, and we're going to talk about your career and her career and what you guys have been doing through all the years. Well, we appreciate you coming on and telling us about the Shock Theater piece.
Great.
Well,
And we will be
fun.
back in 1 minute.
Of
Or
time.
maybe 2. Maybe 2.
Who knows? I might step out to get a baguette. Putting in boning. Thank you. It's a little stretchy.
Interview part 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
The sequel.
Okay, here we go.
Hey Rick, next time do your hands like this.
Yeah,
Clap it. Yeah, clap it.
I'll do it to him.
Here we go. Well, we're back, and of course we've got Bruce Newton, who is A.K. Frankenstein from Shock Theater, and his lovely wife,
Oh, yeah.
Claire. Hey, Claire, we're up in the
Check
graveyard.
her out. Thank you.
There, give her a hand. There you go.
Yeah, keep her head.
Well, I guess what we're going to do is talk about your career as a
I
couple.
can get
which
it
I
up.
believe you guys have been married for how many years?
53 years in September.
53.
53 years. Oh, okay, 54 years.
Wow, congrats. I don't think I can stand my man for that long.
You'd be surprised how neat it gets to be. You get so you love each other more each day, and we've had more fun together, and we raised 5 kids. We lost one of our daughters 4 years ago. She had a massive heart attack, and no, we have 5 grandkids, and we have a ball.
Tell us about how you and Bruce met and how your careers blossomed from that point. Give us some details on
We
that.
met at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. I had a scholarship from Roar West High School, and as I met him about 2 weeks after school started, and he took to me right away, and I took to him, and within a year we were married.
Now, I believe you put together the puppets. Garfield Goose happens to be one of them.
Yes, that was the first puppet we ever created, and he will be 50 years old next year, 202. He'll be 52. He'll be 50 years old.
You want to elaborate the story with Fraser Thomas and how they created the show and how they asked you guys to do the puppet and that type of stuff? Or Bruce, maybe you do that.
Okay, let's see. Fraser came up from Cincinnati, Ohio, where he had a radio show with Ruth Lyons, which was Coast to Coast Radio. And he'd nuzzle the kiddies in the radio audience, kind of a throwaway sort of thing. And it was a hockey sock with a couple buttons. He bought it at a bazaar, a church bazaar, and for a quarter or something like that. And the puppet was named Garfield Goose. They sold him for a quarter, Garfield Goose. He came up and talked to the manager of the station to have a kids show. And so Fraser asked us to make the puppet, which we did.
Now, there's actually 2 puppets. The ones that's in the Museum of Broadcasting and the original one, which you have.
At the Broadcasters Museum.
Right.
Yep. That's a clone.
Got a clone.
Oh,
Cologne.
Clone, okay.
Clone.
And the original one, which we have here, we're going to show you in a little while. You guys get to meet Gar in person.
The real one?
He hasn't been on TV since 78, 77?
Well,
like
no, he's on cable.
Oh, he is?
We do interviews like this,
Really?
and then they show them all over the United States.
Oh, great.
But we made 5 more for our kids. Each kid has a Garfield Goose.
Can I be one of your kids?
Yeah.
Sure.
How about us?
I want one.
Anytime.
Now, Bruce, you've been in broadcasting for 50 years. Please tell us about a couple of the shows that you found to be probably the best shows you'd like to work on.
Well, I suppose Garfield Goose first.
That's a good show.
But then there was a case where I wanted more money and they wouldn't give it to me.
Okay.
So I had an offer at ABC to be.
God, what makes them want you to think why they wouldn't do that?
I've heard of that happening before. So I went over to ABC. I had an offer, and American Broadcasting Company, and got a creative director over there, and we did other shows with Mary Hartline, Super Circus.
Right.
I got my hiccups back again. 2-Ton Baker. Actually, I can't say one show, except maybe the Garfield Goose Show. And then, by the way, Fraser came to me one day and he says, who am I going to get to manipulate Garfield Goose? Because the show is already going. And we'd auditioned it and started it and so forth. And Claire and I, we did about 80% of that script. But you know who credit for it.
Now, you also did the old little theater screen on that too, right? The little magic screen.
That was Fraser's idea with the little, right. But the magic drawing board was right here.
Drawing board.
And we know it went to New York on the Captain Kangaroo show.
Oh, Captain.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That was cool.
So the point was I wanted to make, and I got to give him credit, that Fraser says, who can I get? I said, call over to the Academy, where Claire and I met and married, and talked with the director, Ruth Van Sickle Ford, and she went out in the bullpen, new students coming in. She says, Roy Brown, how'd you like to be on television? And would you like to be on television? Yeah, okay. So he went over and talked with Fraser Thomas, and he manipulated Garfield Goose for about a couple months. But then there was a secretary that leave her typewriter because Roy didn't quite have the he never worked puppets earlier, and so he'd let him drag. Even Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, even Bert Tillstrom would let Ollie or some of his puppets just not talk. And all of a sudden it'd come to life, and start talking. But he did. Practice makes perfect, and he did all right.
Now, I know Roy Brown did it for many years on that show. Now, Fraser Thomas, did he ask you to create anything else, just those puppets, or did you do the rest of the puppets on
No, we did not do any of the other puppets. Garfield Goose was the first puppet, but I think Roy Brown made the other.
Garfield, no. Well, I don't know. It's a mystery. I say it's a mystery.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know Garfield Goose had a brother on that show. What was the brother's goose name? Name my nephew. There you
Nephew. I forget it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, it was a case where they tried to make another Garfield Goose, and it didn't quite look like Garfield Goose. It's like Elmer the Elephant. They tried to make another Elmer the Elephant, and it didn't look like him, so they called him Elmira or something like that. It's his girlfriend or such.
Right.
The one they have down at the museum is not Elmer the Elephant.
What is it?
It's another puppet they tried to make look like Elmer, but it didn't quite make it. Anyway, back to Garfield Goose. They created this smaller object that looked like a goose, but they called it then. What did I say his name was? Goose. He come around Christmas time, and they called him Christmas Goose first, and then after the fact, after Christmas, they called him Chris Goose.
Okay. Now
That's one you can win a bet.
Another piece
cigar
of trivia,
on.
you guys created that set for Garfield Goose and Friends, right?
Well, we all contributed towards these sets. Some of the sets I did, like I contributed towards Soul Train. Don Cornelius came to me
Good
one
point.
day
There you
and asked if he's going to start a show called Soul Train in the hallway at WCIU in the Board of Trade Building.
In the hallway?
You know, we started talking about it in the hallway, right?
Wondering there for a second.
All right.
So we actually did.
Yeah.
We
Hold it for a
designed,
while, will you?
and we got an
Yeah, bop the
okay.
head.
What are you two doing? Hey, look out.
You're blushing. I'm getting...
He's got a beautiful red head. You're going to turn them all red. So we did. We made the first Soul Train for Don Cornelius. Soul Train.
Now, as far go ahead.
In our dining room.
In your dining room. Cool.
No, I wasn't one of the dancers. I made many of the sets and props in our home.
Oh, yeah.
Did you make the outfits that they wore in Soul Train?
We made a lot of things, and then we would repair it. He had another person, a friend of his, make a more elaborate one,
Right.
and we would add to it when the headlight would fall off or the bumper would fall off. We'd repair it for him.
Did you do any work with BJ on BJ and the Dirty Dragon show?
Oh, no, he was pretty much himself. He wasn't staff at any of the stations I was at, but you can see his creation down at the museum.
Very creative guy.
Very much so.
Oh,
yeah, very
sure.
articulate, very good actor, and so forth.
Now, what other shows are you proud of that you've done work for? I mean, top of your head, a couple.
Yeah, I know if people remember Two Ton Baker.
That's a little
the music
before our
maker.
time,
That's
right?
okay. That was.
I wasn't even thought about that.
Hey.
I wasn't even dug up yet.
Tell him off on it.
Yeah, Renfield, you even dug me up in time. You dug me up too late.
That's what you get when you don't pay.
Oh, all right.
Put him back.
Go ahead.
But there was a lot of shows that you were just saying. Red Quinlan was my mentor, and he was the general manager of WBKB first, and then Channel 7. And he also was the person that responsible for putting the antenna on top of the Marina Towers, Channel 7 up there, and Channel 32. He was the
32,
general
which
manager
turned
of
to
both of those.
WFLD
That's
in the
right,
80s,
right. So he was a very creative person.
I was going to tell you, we enjoyed having you and your brother come to our home the other day.
We enjoyed
We
coming.
have an 18-room house in Aurora, 4 floors of antiques. And this is one of my antiques. I have 19 derbies. That's just one of the things. Come on.
Hey, Claire, would you elaborate on some of the really fascinating antiques you got in your house?
I collect stoves, and I have 46
That you
cast
gotta
iron
see.
stoves.
That you gotta see.
From the little bitty ones to great big cook stoves, all kinds of stoves. I have. Yeah.
Oh,
We have one at the old stand.
you mean the still?
No.
I like to collect pies. I have 37 pies, artificial pies made of ruffle, all kinds of stuff. I have 40 pieces of antique telephone equipment. We have a phone booth that came from Al Capone's headquarters. We have 2 antique cars, a 1925 Model T that's black. We have a 1930 Model A coupe with a rumble seat, and that's what you put your mother-in-law in and take her through the car wash. And then we have a white transport ourselves, but we wear nothing but red, white, and black. It's the only thing you'll see in our closet.
Their house is all red. They wear red constantly. When you take a tour through the house, it's red everywhere you
We'd
look.
love to have everybody come.
Yeah, how did that green get there? Get there.
That's an exception, right?
No, we have many collections. We have music collection. We have meat, cheese, baking. I have cinnamon. I collect cinnamon cans. I have over 60 different kinds of cinnamon cans. And downstairs we have a phone booth that you can go right inside and use it. And we have so many things that it's a fun house to live in. We've lived there for almost 37 years, and
we have tours.
Yeah, we have tours.
You want to give the information about your tours if they're watching?
We
they wanna
have
take your tour.
we have professional tours. We have big charter buses that come with 50 on a bus. I take the first 2 floors. He takes the lower level, then I come down and he goes up. And so
It's an amazing house, folks. It looks like the Addams family's house on the outside. It really does. You see it. All you see is a big peak. And you're like, whoa, when you walk up to this place.
So no, we'd love to have all of you come anytime. Be sure you set it up ahead of time so we're home when you come.
You know what we're gonna do is try to get the whole crew here on Graveyard Theater to come out and visit you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd
Will
love.
you guys serve pizzas?
No.
I love it.
What do you think it is, a Holiday Inn, Renfield?
We serve parts and pieces. That's right.
Body parts too. Lots of body
That's
parts.
right.
Finger
And you stay out of
sandwiches.
her pies.
No, so we'd enjoy having all of you come. We just have so many things to show you. We have a Valentine room on the 2nd floor. On the 3rd floor, it's all winter, and the lower levels all fall. And the 1st floor, he portrays Abraham Lincoln, so we have
you gotta see it, that's
the whole den is all patriotic with Lincoln stuff, all kinds
I
of.
like the basement, the soda fountain, the 1920-something jukebox, and that big Riverview push thing you guys got
Yeah.
downstairs. Now that is cool.
Do you have any antiques from the Civil War period?
Oh, we got a whole den full of them.
We got a drum that came from the Civil War days.
Yep.
Really?
Mm.
Abraham Lincoln things. We got Lincoln logs. The first, because he cut them. We know we authenticated it. But hey, get in touch with your leader here,
Okay.
and he'd be glad to.
Yeah, if you guys would like to,
Right,
if you guys would like to take a tour of Bruce and Claire
Leaders,
Newton's house,
excuse us.
you can write the Graveyard Theater at the address, which is now on the bottom of the screen. Get a hold of us. We'd be glad to pass the information on to you, so you guys can sit there and take this wonderful, wonderful tour of their. What's it called?
West Park.
West
West
Park.
Park.
It's called West Park. It's a beautiful home. Looks like the Addams family place. Get in touch with
Well,
us.
you know it's gonna be a good house. It's gonna
I have
be
a question.
Great.
All right, I know this may sound weird and out of the corner, but did you ever meet the
Peter?
Three Stooges?
No, unfortunately, I never did. They were too busy, really. You know, doing this and this. And
They have met a lot of people, Renfield. It's all over their walls. Pictures everywhere of all the people they've met, and there's a lot of pictures. Believe me,
and
a
all
lot of them.
that.
Oh, it's amazing.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yep.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen. He's met a lot of
People
people.
like Edward R. Murrow. Edward R. Murrow. You met Edward R. Murrow?
No, we've had so much fun in our house, and as I said, there's lots to see, and we'd love to have any of you come.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're definitely going to be taking a tour of the crew of the show. We're all going to just come down as a group and show this magnificent house you guys
Please
got.
do.
Oh yeah.
And also, we're going to get anybody who's watching the show wants to come, right Graveyard Theater. We want to let you guys know how to take this tour. Again, our address is now on the bottom of the screen, or Renfield. You want to get it to them?
Yeah, it's Graveyard Theater, 4456, Hammond, Indiana, 46324. How about
You're
that?
impressed. You memorized all that.
Can we have popcorn there?
Popcorn.
Yeah, it's a little burned. We cremated, shall we say.
Ah.
Oh,
Are you sure there's no pizza?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Oh, I'll order one for you. Just
We have a
flash.
request. We have a special request, and we would like to see if Gar would like to stop by and visit our castle for a few minutes.
Sure.
Would you do that for us?
You want to get him?
How about it, Claire?
Yeah, that'd be Second Street.
You don't want to
That'd
see
be Second
Garfield?
Street.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to bring Gar in, okay, and we'll be right back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where's
we'll be
that
back
goose
with
at?
Garfield.
Garfield Goose.
Where's that goose at? Where's my popcorn
likes
at? Somebody grab my. Listen to the chick with the hat. She knows what's going on.
Puppet segment, take 2. Hey, we said we'd be back with Garfield Goose, and look, there he is, isn't he a lovely little fella? Yeah. Yeah, huh? What? I don't speak Goose. Sorry, pal. What?
He's just saying hi to you.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, he
All
says
that?
he says you're a beautiful. Wish you were a goose
Oh,
or a
okay.
gander. I guess. No, it would be a goose. But
One or the other, I suppose.
Hey, Monica, we left a bird in here.
I didn't. It's
Who's
Lancelot's
that?
idea. He said to bring the bird in.
Bird.
He's a
More like a
famous
turkey
bird.
to me.
he's
Hey.
no bird. He's a goose. He's
Goose
Garfield Goose.
Ooh.
What's
Hey,
Hey.
special.
what's
Garfield?
Hey,
Original Garfield?
he's the original Garfield Goose. He
Whoa.
doesn't. He
Yeah.
doesn't talk though. What's your name?
name-
Mildew. What's your
Well-
name, Mildew?
I've got a lot of names, most of them 4-letter ones, but my name's Mildew.
Yeah.
Looks like you need a dentist. Yeah, there's that
Ah.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
4 out
careful.
of
You
5
need a
dentists
dentist too.
recommend brushing
You got
your teeth.
bad breath.
I met the one that didn't.
That's his luck.
I like your complexion
Wow, thank you.
and your perfume. What do you call that? What kind of perfume you got on there?
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. Oh, Garfield. Whoop you up, bro.
Oh yeah. Now see, Garfield never talked. I mean, who ever heard of a goose talking? Have you
Well,
ever heard of a
I
goose
don't
talking?
know.
No, you don't
No,
listen to
it's
that.
kinda
But
honk.
that's right. So
But
yeah,
yeah.
you kind of have to interpret for him. Yeah.
He says, get your hand on my,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? All these years. Yeah, about time. Yeah. So Garfield, how was Fraser Thomas and that little rabbit you hung around with?
Who?
That little rabbit.
Who?
Fraser Thomas?
Who's that?
The rabbit.
That's a good one, buddy.
That's a joke. That's
Yeah.
a joke.
Oh, yeah.
He was all right.
He's a good guy.
Nah, he's a good
I
guy.
like family classics.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm a classic.
Yeah.
That's a case of rot.
Yeah. But those were words. You had to read them. What's your name again?
Mildew.
Mildew.
Yeah, not how
Okay.
do, can do,
How do-
mildew.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's
Mildew, too.
mildew. That's right.
The right
Can,
price.
can you read all those classics, mildew?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Lassie.
Okay.
Yeah, Lassie returns.
Yeah.
Come on, Lassie.
Go away, Lassie.
Go away, Lassie.
And the
Come
Lassie
back,
dropped.
my shin.
And
Yeah,
Mas-
that kind of thing.
The Lassie dropped dead and all
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
My
Yep.
favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're cute.
Oh.
You should get a contract in Hollywood.
You ain't too bad yourself, Bob. You know.
Ooh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Or was that for you, Claire?
No, not for me, it's for Garfield.
The nice lady in the hat.
Yeah.
You
Check
want
her
my
out.
hat?
Oh, I love the hat.
Yeah, try
The one
that.
underneath it, too. Ah.
This is your hat.
Oh, my.
There we go.
I can't actually grab that right now. My hands don't work.
Lean
over?
I can't sort of. I can't.
Lean over either?
Oh, I can try. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay.
Oh, I
We'll try
can
a
try
little bit
it.
later.
I
Good thing.
got a bad case of
I
head
can put it
anyway.
on him.
Ah.
Oh, sure, I'll put it
Oh,
on.
okay. Here.
There we go.
Oh, let's
See if I
switch
can-
over.
Here, I'll move up a
One
little.
way or next.
I'll
Okay,
move up a
here
little
we go.
bit.
Oh.
There, put it right on his hat.
There we go.
Oh, now
Oh,
if that
that
doesn't
looks
look
like a
like a dandy.
Man,
Yeah.
Look at that. How about a
Look at
date,
that.
ladies?
His eyeball fell out.
Hey, how about a night on the town with me? I'm all dashing, debonair, and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what do you call that? He's lost some of his nose.
Well.
What did he do? Eat it? Did
Yeah,
he
that
bite
was a
too
firework
hard?
accident.
Or is that where he smokes cigars?
Well, it was a little fireworks cigar accident kind of thing. It's 4th of July. I tried to light dynamite stick.
I think you better get
Lit the wrong way,
another.
lit the wrong end.
You better get a new shirt there, Mildew.
Yeah, well.
You need a new one there.
This is what you call from rags to riches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And
No,
thanks
you-
to this hat, this is the only rich thing I got.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got got 6 fingers there?
Well, I got 5. But what's left?
Oh.
What the rats haven't eaten
I
yet.
see. Yeah, yeah.
But life goes on, or I should say,
Yeah.
young life goes on. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you look very handsome.
Well, like I said before, you ain't
To
too bad
another
yourself,
ghoul.
bub. Like I said, but I'm just glad to see somebody from the old days of television come back. 'Cause today's television, we've got a lot to say. Not really a lot to say.
The
Yeah.
old days never left,
Well,
Mildew.
Good old
There's-
days.
That's right.
The good
They're
old
still
days.
around.
Yeah,
I had
That's it.
skin.
I mean, look at us.
Yeah, well, speaking of leaving,
Well,
you guys can reminisce. We gotta go.
Well, let's reminisce.
We gotta get into the movie.
So what about this Dave
Sorry.
Garroway kind of guy? What kind of
Oh.
stuff did he rip off and take to New York?
Nah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Wherever he
We
is.
gotta go.
Yeah. He's
He's-
up in the great typewriter room in the
We gotta
sky.
go. We gotta go.
All right.
Go ahead.
Bye-bye, Mildew.
Bye-bye.
We'll
Say
see ya.
Thank you.
Say bye.
All
We
right.
gotta get into the movie.
Say
Yeah.
goodbye, Mildew.
Bye.
Bye. There we go.
See
We
you
gotta get
next
into the movie.
time.
Close your mouth. You got bad breath.